What's up, everybody? I am John Murrow with my man Will Power today, here with Real Talk Baseball, and we are here to bring you another great episode here. Today, we are highlighting the Texas Rangers previous season and upcoming season plans. So, Will, how you doing today?
I am doing great, man. I love talking baseball with you, bro. I love that you have a passion for baseball just like I do. And we can just go out here any day of the week and just talk baseball. Right now, we're talking about 2024 overviews and potential 2025 seasons, and glad to talk the Texas Rangers with you today, man.
Yeah, me too. And if you hear a siren in the background, that's either Juan Soto has signed with a certain team, or we live in Limerick, where they test the power plant every first Monday at 2 p.m. of the month. So it is 2 p.m. So here we are. Nonetheless, here to talk about the Rangers, not power plants. So the Rangers in 2024, when I first think about what happened with this team, I'm not really sure where to start. Coming off of a World Series victory in 2023, they finished the 2024 season with a record of 78 and 84. They just never really took off, despite sky-high expectations, of course, entering 2024. Now, when I personally think of the Rangers, my very first thought was Jacob Degrom. What does that look like if he's healthy all year? What does that look like if Max Scherzer's Max Scherzer? What does that look like if they get the production out of the young guys, the rookies? A lot of what ifs surrounding this team. So I really wanted to start there. And I think, let's highlight Jacob Degrom. And, Will, is that one of the worst contracts in baseball outside of Anthony Rendon, of course?
I don't think so. It's only been one season, that we've seen from Jacob Degrom in the Rangers uniform, and how many starts did he make? 5. It was barely like anything really to look at for 2024. But he had surgery, right? So hopefully he'll be better now. It was never really like a Tommy John thing, or actually, I'm sorry, it was never
That's
a
his
shoulder.
second season, yeah.
It was the elbow. So let's see if things hold up in 2025. He's still relatively young, a lot younger than Max Scherzer was last season at 38 years old, I believe. And Jacob Degrom is still known as one of the greatest pitchers in Major League Baseball today. So the question is always with pitchers, are they going to stay healthy? It's like that with every team. Max Fried and Clayton Kershaw and, all these top arms that have been top arms for the past few seasons have just been riddled with injuries. And Jacob Degrom is no exception.
Yeah, I mean, this was his second full season with the team, and 37. They've paid him $74 million for what, less than 10 starts. So that's where you say the best availability, the best feature. I don't even know what to say right now. The best feature is availability. Nonetheless, he is the best, if not one of the best pitchers in baseball when healthy. He's just never healthy. So I think that's going to lead to a few different changes with this organization, but we'll get there. Going back to just a couple other disappointing seasons for this team, for this, roster in general, Marcus Semien, he hit 237, 23 homers and 74 RBI. That's not a Marcus Semien year. Marcus Semien, you're used to seeing 280, 290, 300 with, 30 homers and 100 RBI. So, they got the power still from him, but outside of that, he didn't have a typical Marcus Semien year. Now, Corey Seager was injured a good amount too, but at least he hit 278, 30 home runs, 74 RBI. And even so, that's not technically a Corey Seager year that we're used to either.
No, he got off to a slow start also. So, I mean, if you don't really count the slow start, his numbers actually look a lot better in the last 4 months of the season.
Yeah, and I think for Corey Seager, he is and can be that guy, but he also needs he needs a Robin to his Batman. And, having that Marcus Semien production that we saw in 2023, that's why that team was so successful, especially late. So, I think everybody had sky high expectations for the young guys coming off of that World Series. We saw a little bit of Evan Carter in that World Series and what he can do. And then Wyatt Langford, what he was doing for the Florida Gators and just going directly to start the season last year in professional ball for the Rangers, those guys just never really hit their snag, didn't hit their full potential that we could see. And on top of that, Max Scherzer was just truly a shell of himself. So,
Yeah. One of the biggest downfalls I see of 2024 was also Adolis Garcia, because Adolis Garcia played a huge part in the 2023 World Series. And in 2023 he batted 245 with 39 home runs. In 2024 he batted 224 with only 25 home runs and the same amount of plate appearances. So I think that was one of the biggest downfalls as well. I think if Marcus Semien and if Adolis Garcia were hitting like they did in the previous season, we would have saw a different outcome, and the Rangers would have done a little bit better making it into the playoffs.
yeah, no, I totally get that. And I think one thing that they certainly did do, and we're about to cover that now, is their coaching. They totally revamped that coaching staff, between the pitching staff with bench coach Luis Ureta, assistant pitching coach Dave Bush. Shout out Dave Bush. You don't know this. I know all the local guys. Dave Bush went to Conestoga High School here in the main line of Pennsylvania. So suburbs of Philadelphia, and he played for the Toronto Blue Jays and Milwaukee Brewers in the early 2000s. So shout out Dave Bush. Now the assistant pitching coach, new bullpen coach Jordan Teagues, and an assistant hitting coach Justin Veal. So all in all, I mean, they're revamping that coaching staff. You still have one of the best managers in baseball with Bruce Bochy, but this is really more of a hands-on approach with these guys and saying, hey, what happened last year just didn't work across the board. We love you, Bruce Bochy, but we need some new blood in here. So that's what that tells me. So that's exciting to see for that team if I'm a fan. What are your thoughts on, because when you revamp a whole system, maybe usually you see one coach change, unless something like this generally happens when a manager changes and they bring in their entire staff. This is a whole new staff.
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, I understand that they want to do, a little shakeup when it comes to coaching, but every single coach is new except for Bruce Bochy. That was so weird to me. I've never seen that before. But if anyone can build a championship team again, it's Bruce Bochy, dude. He did it with the Giants 3 times, back in the mid to late 2000s. We just did the Giants episode. I'll post a link at the end of this episode. So if anyone wants to watch the Giants episode, you can do that. But Bruce Bochy, he has winning mentality, and if anyone can do it, it's him, dude. We just saw Terry Francona just get a new manager position also. And, it seems like in the past few seasons, they're really putting emphasis on coaching and front office. And I like that, dude, because, there's a lot of things that players and fans don't see that the coaches do, and I think if the Rangers are going to get back into playoff form, I think Bruce Bochy is a really good option to lead the way.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. And I think, you talk about players having that same pedigree. Corey Seager's a winner, man. He's got 2 World Series under his belt. He's got an MVP. Did he win MVP as well in LA? World
He
Series?
won the World Series MVP over Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Not the league MVP, but
no, he's got 2 World Series MVPs under his
maybe
belt.
one day.
What? Not going back to LA. Is that what you just said? Are you out of your mind? Get
No,
LA off
I'm,
your mind.
I'm saying maybe he'll win. I'm saying maybe he'll win American League MVP one day.
Yeah, maybe. Nonetheless,
Now that Shohei Ohtani's not in the American League anymore.
Aaron Judge isn't going anywhere.
That's true.
Bobby Witt's not going anywhere.
Ooh, had to throw Witt in there, huh?
Bobby Witt's so good.
So
let's back to Rangers. You can get me on a whole different topic here for a bit.
We'll do a Royals episode in a couple of weeks or maybe.
Yeah, let's talk about this 2025 rebound though, and what that looks like for the Rangers. I do think they'll be better. I'm not sure that they'll be deep playoff better, but I think this team definitely has a good chance to win the division. Now, I really think that's a 2-team race, so you're kind of eliminating the Athletics, maybe. I don't know. I mean, they got their. We'll do a whole nother. We'll talk about the Athletics and all of them later, but I don't really think it's basically the Astros and the Rangers in a class of their own. So I'm going to say that the Rangers will do what it takes to get there. I don't know that the Astros kind of have been in this weird spot. They haven't brought back Bregman. They haven't made any real big significant moves. They lost Kikuchi. So I don't know what the Astros are doing. And I think, the Rangers are probably a little bit more willing. They don't have to pay Max Scherzer. He's gone, I would assume. He's past his prime. So I think they're going to sign someone. I do think that if they're letting Nathan Eovaldi test the market too, they may have to sign 2 pitchers. I think their lineup's pretty much set. I do like their lineup, so it's just a matter of them revamping their pitching staff. Now,
Yep,
a couple different ways to do that. Do you think that's better through free agency? Do you think that's something they can do in-house? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that Josh Young and Evan Carter were injured for a majority of the season last year. Josh Young will be their starting third baseman, and Evan Carter will be a starting outfielder. And that leaves Josh Smith, who was the primary third baseman for the season, in the DH spot. But they do have some other players that they could kind of throw around into trade talks. But I think that free agency is the way to go for the Texas Rangers. I think that Kirby Yates needs to get re-signed. In addition to that, I think that they need to do like a whole like bullpen revamp. I'd love to see free agents like Jordan Romano or Kyle Finnegan get signed by the Rangers. And I think they need to re-sign Nathan Eovaldi. He's been a big part of that team for a couple seasons now, and I think that he's deserved the contract that the Rangers can afford to give him.
Nathan Eovaldi's been a lot of fun to watch, just his career. It's a very fascinating, interesting career. Just because on every episode, I got to give you a little bit of Phillies sprinkle here, but I would love to see Nathan Eovaldi be the Phillies closer. Bold prediction. But he's done it before. He's got some nasty stuff. It'd be fun to watch. Nonetheless, had to give you a little Phillies nugget there just because. I mean, do you think this is realistically a team? And I'm not asking for a record just yet, but can this team, as it is, win 90 games?
As it is, I don't think so, because you have Jacob Degrom, and let's say Jacob Degrom is healthy, right? Let's say he makes 33 starts next season. Your number 2 is John Gray. Your number 3 is Tyler Mahle, who's also coming off of Tommy John surgery. Your number 4 is Cody Bradford, who was great last year, but a sophomore slump. We'll see how he does next year. And then you have the rookie Kumar Rocker as the number 5. And those are too many question marks. And that's going to be, it's going to be hard to predict 2025 with that pitching staff. And I don't know, man. It's really going to come down to can the Rangers replicate the magic that they did in 2023? Last year there was a lot of injuries. The bullpen was kind of just like really bad, and I think the bullpen has to be the number 1. And even if they just go with the starting rotation that they have, I think they have the tools to do it. It's just really, are those guys going to show up? Are they going to show out?
So here's my thoughts, and this is going to lead us into the free agency section here. And I think I'm with you that I think bullpens obviously has to be important. I think their lineup's pretty much set. And I think the biggest question marks for them are going to be in starting pitching. So randomly, I think of the free agents that they're going to go after.
Yeah, they've already spent a lot of money.
It's just money, Will. You know that. It's just money.
Yeah, they've already spent a lot of money on position players and in starting pitching in Jacob Degrom and Max Scherzer. But I think that they need to spend a little bit more money and invest in the bullpen. They've invested in starting pitching, invested in the lineup. It's time to invest in the bullpen, man. And I would love to see the Rangers actually sign both of those guys I was talking about, or all 3 of those guys. Re-sign Kirby Yates, go after Kyle Finnegan, be their closer. They still have a couple good guys. They have Jose Leclerc, a couple other bullpen pieces that are fine, but there were, like we said earlier, there's just too many question marks. And this offseason is going a little too slow for me, man. I want to see something happen already.
I know. So I'll give you my prediction was that they would sign 2 starting pitchers. And then I think, if you have to I'll say worry about Kamar Rocker being on some kind of innings limit, maybe he is a relief pitcher instead. And there's your bullpen. So I don't know why. I just picked that the Rangers would sign Jack Flaherty and Shane Bieber. Just randomly felt right. You're losing a Max Scherzer. You're probably losing Eovaldi, and just kind of revamp that starting rotation a little bit. See what that looks like. Who knows what you have in Jack Leiter? He was not good. He was not good this year. Kamar Rocker looked awesome, but Kamar Rocker has a pretty rough injury past, and he just kind of came up and didn't really have time to get figured out. He pitched 5 starts, if that. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I think they need pitching, though. I think we both can agree on that. What that looks like, whether that's a starter, relief pitcher, or one of each. That's where they should definitely set their sights on.
Yeah, and they definitely have money to spend. I had their payroll. All right, so they're at 143 million projected for next season, and the luxury tax is 241. So they have 98 million dollars that they could play with to try to sign some players, and that's a lot of money, man. I'm not saying go after like a Juan Soto type that's going to cost almost 50 million a year. I think that their lineup, like you said, is fine. There's a lot of stars there, and there's a lot of young guys with star potential. But you could get a lot of really good arms with $98 million, man.
I love how you use the tax threshold as their limits. Like, just because you have it doesn't mean you have to spend it. Teams are cheap.
Yeah, I mean, but the Rangers have shown that they're willing to spend, and with if the luxury tax threshold is something that they're not really willing to go over, they do have some wiggle room where they can go out and get another star.
Now, one thing, and I hate to even bring this up, so sorry for any Rangers fans that are watching this, but if this whole thing goes south this year, if they're not getting the results, and it's not just a quick fix, could you see them looking for trade partners for guys like Corey Seager or Jacob Degrom or Marcus Semien? Because, they don't want to go through what they just went through again. And that was just a less than mediocre season, especially spending that kind of money. There's some big contracts on that roster.
There are some big contracts and some big names on that roster that would definitely have a huge return. And I don't know. I think Corey Seager is a Ranger, and I don't think that they're really willing to give up guys like Corey Seager or even Marcus Semien. I think that if anything, they would give up guys like Wyatt Langford, who has prospect pedigree, but hasn't really shown like star potential yet, and I feel like his value is very high. And depending on what they get in return for him, it really depends on what their mindset is. Are they really trying to rebuild right now, coming off of a World Series win in 2023? I think that even by the trade deadline in July, I think that's still going to be a little too premature to start even thinking about trading away these big stars. I think they need to go through some pains for a couple seasons, unless they just turn things around right away, right off the bat. And I don't know, the lineup looks good. It's really just going to be the pitching for me. I think that they need to heavily invest in free agency and not really worry too much about trades right now.
Yeah. So with that said, what are we thinking for a 2025 prediction?
Being in the same division as the Astros, and the Astros are not the big powerhouse that they were a few seasons ago, I think that the Rangers are going to make a rebound, especially with Bruce Bochy kind of heading the team in the right direction with these new coaches. And I think it's going to take a little while to build the chemistry, with the coaching staff and the players. But I think that they trust Bruce Bochy as much as, the next person and everyone on MLB Network does, and I think that they have the right guy leading the team. And I could see them being a plus 500 team. I don't think that they can win the division with the Astros, the state of the Astros, how they are now. it really depends on what the Astros are going to do with third base as well, because they left a big hole right there. And Alex Bregman just hit free agency. But I think the Astros just have a way of finding ways to win games and win the division. And I don't think that the Rangers really have it yet. I'm excited for the future of the Rangers because of all of their young talent that they have. I think they'll make the playoffs next season, but I don't think that they'll go as far as they did and work their magic like they did in 2023. So I'll say a 88 win season.
Oh, I had 89 and 73. So
Pretty close.
I think it obviously depends. I think again, this thing could go real south real quick if the pitching just isn't there. If Kumar Rocker isn't the Kumar Rocker we saw at the end of last season, and he's more of a, sub-4, sub-5 ERA guy. If Jack Leiter doesn't give you anything more than he did, if Jacob Degrom's not healthy, you don't have a Scherzer anymore, you don't have a Eovaldi anymore. Like it could look ugly on the pitching side of things. So if they can get that figured out, I think they're going to be more towards that 85 to 95 win team. If they don't, that 89 and 73 prediction could easily be a 73 and 89 prediction. Honestly, doesn't matter how much you can hit, you got to pitch.
Yeah, if Degrom can stay healthy, I'll say they're closer to 90 wins. If he only makes 10 or less starts, I'll say it's going to be closer to 80 wins.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That's good. That's great. Well, that's all we got today for your Texas Rangers updates, and looking forward to 2025 for you all. We're going to talk next week. Will, what teams are we thinking for next week?
We're still in the West, so I'm thinking we're doing the A's next week and the Rockies.
A's and Rockies. Let's do it. So I am John Murrow here with Will Power. Don't forget before you leave to like and subscribe. Follow us here on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. John Murrow heading out. Will, see ya. It's been real.
See you guys.